Welcome to Axrem Insights, developing healthcare through medtech and innovation. Join Melanie Johnson and Sully Edgington as they talk with our industry leaders and experts.
Hello, I'm Melanie Johnson and I'm here with Sully Edgington. Welcome to our International Imaging Congress special, also known as the IIC. Today we have the pleasure to be speaking to Dr. Ram Senasi, Chair of the Advisory Board and Conference Chair of IIC 2024, and Consultant Pediatric Radiologist at Hull University Teaching Hospitals. So welcome, Ram. Thank you for being on the show and allowing us to get to know you a little better. With our podcast theme being IIC, I will start by handing over to you to tell us a little bit about yourself. And obviously, I'm just checking you are okay with me calling you Ram. I've been told you I am.
You know what? That's something I always insist. So my hashtag is call me Ram, and that really is the way the industry knows me. But to be formal, I'm Dr. Ram Senasi. I'm proudly an NHS consultant radiologist working at Hull University Teaching Hospitals. I'm also the chair of the advisory board and the chair for the IIC Congress that's happening on the 7th to 8th of October 2024. And I'm really excited about that. Of course, I hold several other positions, but for today, really, we're going to be talking about IIC and our fantastic relationship with Axrem.
Great, thanks, Ram. And I always call you Dr. Ram, and you always say you don't have to say doctor, but I don't know. I just feel like maybe I'm kind of billing you to be like a TV doctor, Dr. Ram. So I just think there's a bit of a ring to it. But Ram, from the dealings I've had with you, it's very clear to see that you're passionate about education. Can you tell us a little bit more about where that passion comes from and what are your drivers?
I think my passion for education comes down to myself, really. One of the key things I've learned during my journey as a doctor and becoming a consultant is the realization that I still don't know enough. There's so much out there. And I think with COVID, with the avalanche of information, we've realized that the gap of the knowledge gap between what we know and what we need to know is widening. And that's because of the amazing technologies and innovations that's taking place, having to keep up not just patient pathologies, but the technologies that support it. So there is a selfish purpose for me, really, with IIC, and it is to not only support myself, but to support the knowledge growth for both my colleagues and all the amazing staff in the NHS.
Great, thank you. And I know that you were saying, like, obviously innovations are coming through and things are changing. And I think that's what I quite like about our industry and my role actually is that no 2 days are ever the same because it's constantly evolving and changing. And I think obviously COVID was a game changer for all of us in lots of ways, in the ways that we work and how we interact with people. You know, we like now we're doing podcasts and I spend a lot of time on online meetings. And I think we definitely have kind of changed how we do things. So predominantly you're here to talk about the International Imaging Congress, which we're super excited to be headline partners to. So what should attendees expect from the event? And can you tell us more about some of the headline sessions and attractions for the event?
Yeah, well, I'm going to work backwards. In terms of attractions, I think everything is going to appeal to everyone. We've got a mixture of different types of sessions. We're going to have some really engaging panel sessions where we're going to have key stakeholders and key opinion leaders up on stage. But what we're trying to do different is to give a lot of time for audience engagement. So what I try to do as a chair is to involve all the delegates, whoever there, to be part of the conversation. We're also going to have some really insightful discussions and presentations done by a variety of industry leaders and experts in the NHS. One thing that we're doing slightly different this year is including a third stream. Now, you know, Sally, we have had 2 streams really. In last year, we had the imaging and oncology stream, and then we had a pathology stream. And both of the streams, we received excellent feedback. But you said we did. And what I mean by you said was speaking to a few of the stakeholders, there was clearly a need for a third stream. And that third stream was to have just some really high quality CPDs for those either entering into the world of technology or trying to understand radiology. And this is something that we talked about, and we felt, this is something that should be led by Axrem. And because of that, we're really thankful for Axrem for sort of supporting the third stream. And we're calling it the Axrem Innovation Hub. And here we're going to have a lot of the Axrem members supporting public education for anyone who wants to understand a bit about AI, a bit about HL7 integration, which I think I will probably be attending that lecture because I also need to learn a bit about it. So I think to look out for definitely are two main streams, but I think the third stream is going to be very exciting.
Sounds fantastic. And actually, for us, it's a bit of a new world as well, because this will be the first time that Axrem has ever exhibited at an event. So we're super excited. And we've got a bit of a theme for our stand being community, because we feel that our role is to bring our whole community, not just industry, but clinicians such as yourself and the societies and Royal Colleges, etc., together. So we've got a few kind of planned activities on our stand around community. But the other thing that we're going to be doing as well is launching our digital pathology special focus group, which is a new special focus group for Axrem, and actually sits really well between the kind of imaging and the pathology, almost in the center of that. So we've obviously got a panel session around that, and our Future Leaders Council have worked really hard to bring that together. So I'm really excited to come and watch that and hear what they've got to say.
And I have to congratulate you, Sally, for working with the Axrem leadership for developing the Future Leaders Council. I think mentoring and supporting future leaders to continue the conversation is critical. I think Axrem's certainly taking a lead in industry to do this. I'm trying to do the same with Axrem support and, of course, with IIC support. We have the apprentice program at IIC, and we have two fantastic junior doctors joining us. We're hoping by next year we can widen the application to other people in industry. And I have to say, Sally, I was inspired by what you did at Axrem. When you did the Future Leaders Council, I said, we need to do something at IIC. And I think that's where cross-pollination occurs between industries and partners.
Absolutely. And I have to give the kudos to Mel for that, because Mel has worked really hard on the Future Leaders. That's kind of what I call her little baby. And she's kind of, really working hard behind the scenes. And the Future Leaders Council has found so much focus on, and they actually wrote a State of the Nation report that we launched the same day as our strategic priorities in Parliament. And it was a really complementary document to the strategic priorities. And actually, we're going to have copies of both of those documents handing out at the IIC.
And I liked how you talked about community, and that's what's sort of driving Axrem message this year. Sally, it takes, they say it takes a village to bring up a child. And I think that's where the community, especially industry leaders and industries that are represented by Axrem, play a vital role. The Future Leaders Council is, the purpose ultimately for IIC for me is to support future leaders and to support our future stakeholders and key opinion leaders to continue these conversations. And I think that's where IIC is really unique. We have, together with Axrem, have a concerted effort to make sure that we create a clear pathway for some of the amazing radiology trainees, radiographers, trainees, and those early on in their careers to come to a safe space, which to me is IIC, to really engage and to be part of the community and to realize that there's so many amazing organizations and people out there to support their growth. And I think to me, that's one of the fundamental key ethos at IIC.
And it's great to hear that. And I know this might sound a bit corny, but it is true what they say. Together, obviously, we have a stronger voice, and obviously we can bring around change. So no, it's good to hear that. So obviously, in terms of figures, how many exhibitors, delegates are currently signed up? And obviously, I know the event is obviously offering free tickets to NHS staff. What impact has that had?
Okay, in terms of figures, I'll talk about last year's figures to start off with. We had about 1,100 delegates, and I think we just had over 30 exhibitors. In terms of exhibitors, we have now signed up, I think, close to 45 exhibitors, a lot more earlier compared to before, and we're expecting this number to grow. So certainly our list of exhibitors have increased. One of the more satisfying things about this is a lot of the exhibitors are return or repeat exhibitors. They actually saw real value last year, and they say, you know what, We actually know this is going to be bigger and better. We want more space. In terms of delegates, we had just over 1,100 last year, and we're hoping to match that. I think we're very close to 1,100. We still have a few weeks to go, and we know there's a lot of people will usually decide a few weeks or a few days before coming to the event. Our location makes us really, really strategic. We are the largest imaging conference in the south of UK, south of England. And of course, there are other fantastic events taking place around the UK, but at least for the south in London, we are very strategic. In terms of NHS staff being free, this is something that was probably one of the main reasons I joined IIC. The NHS is an amazing organization going through significant change and upheaval at the moment, especially with Lord Darcy's report about the investment that needs to go in. But we also have to remember the NHS also invests into its staff. And part of this investment is through education and upskilling. But there is a limited pot. There is no magic money tree, just to quote someone, in politics. But the pot is limited. And we in industry and we as conference organizers need to find ways to support the NHS so that sort of precious funds that's available for NHS staff are used for other key critical upskilling courses. As a doctor, I'd rather some of those courses go to upskill amazing radiographers in reporting or radiology registrars or scientists to go on to another course. And we can then provide that. So the main aim is to support the NHS, to provide free education and CPD for their staff, and to create an environment where they can continuously learn without us draining precious NHS resources.
Yeah, no, and it's great to hear that it is growing. So, and I'm really looking forward to going as well. So I'll see you there. So obviously you've touched on this a little bit, but why else did you decide to get involved in the IIC, and what are you most looking forward to?
I think one of the reasons I joined the IIC is it's an organization with a lot of different people with a lot of different ideas. And one of the things that we do within our advisory board is we're not afraid to ask very difficult questions. And we have, for example, on the advisory board, someone called Sharon Pick, Dr. Sharon Pickering. She's a human factors expert. And human factors is a critical component in healthcare, especially when we're dealing with technology and innovation. And so she is one of the key members of our team to head on this discussion. And of course, we know that she's working closely with Axrem, again, patient safety. I can't say, I would say all the sessions are going to be great, but if I could choose one session, I think it's the session on morality in AI. I think this is going to be an interesting session. And that's why I liked IIC. I came up with this left field session. I said, look, could we have this conversation about morality in AI? There's so much taking place just because we can, should we? And that session, I think, really is to be a left field session, which I'm hoping a lot of people will find really, really insightful. The other thing I think that people should be looking forward to at IIC, or the things that I'm looking forward to, is the opportunity to engage. Ultimately, the one thing we realized from COVID is, yes, there's so many online courses and conferences we attend, but we're humans and we need to connect, we need to collaborate, and to quote Sally, we need to create communities. And the only way we can do that is at IIC, where there's one of the unique features of IIC is all our exhibitors are on the same floor as where the sessions are. That allows a lot of great foot traffic for people to pop in and pop out between sessions, speak to colleagues, speak to exhibitors, and to create this very precious community. So, and I'm really looking forward to engaging with as many people as possible. And as I always say, if we meet, don't forget to hashtag call me around.
Oh, thank you.
And I think you're totally right. I think one of the downsides of COVID is that we do probably meet in person, face to face less. But I think especially for industry, those interactions are so important to building relationships. And I think that events like this that bring our whole community together are so important. And like you say, I think being in the South, being very accessible is also, a real plus side to this. So I hope that it kind of has that community feel, and hopefully with, our standard involvement, we can help with that. So as you know, Ram, there's so many excellent events on the market, if you like, in our industry. What do you think this means for the industry in terms of the different events that there are, and how that kind of relates with the IIC?
It's a really interesting question, and I'm glad you asked that question, Sally. I think there are so many good events in the UK, and that's what the UK is really good at, high quality content. And we have events dotted around the UK. What IIC set to do was not be a me too. We wanted to be different, but we wanted uh, to be complementary to the other events. So we have events by large societies and other organizations talking about particular aspects of imaging, where we support those events to support the technology and the discussions around technology and innovation that supports healthcare. So this to me is the tech conference for imaging, oncology, and pathology. And because of that, it is the perfect place for partners in industry, especially those from Axrem and also outside of Axrem. This is their home. This is where we are talking about you, our industry partners, the technology providers, those that innovate. This is where we exchange ideas. So we don't see ourselves as a competitor to the market. We see ourselves as an essential support to the market to drive the discussion. And that is why our format is very different. We've definitely gone more towards panel discussions, fireside chats, because that's where that sort of corridor conversations really can impact patient care. And when people feel that in an environment that's comfortable, they will speak their mind. And we know in the NHS, it's about that freedom to speak up. We've provided that platform at IIC.
Great, thank you. And you talk about obviously IIC being the tech conference, if you like, for imaging. So how do you think Axrem's members' innovation and innovative technologies can help healthcare professionals in the future?
Well, in my experience and my interaction speaking to Axrem members across the board, I know they've always been in the forefront of developing technologies. As a radiologist, I've seen with a lot of the technologies come out there, from PACS providers to AI solution providers, or even just providing for monitors, for example. They help radiologists like me and my colleagues improve our diagnostic accuracy, helping us streamline our workflows. We know we are at a critical stage with patient care in the NHS with a rising aging population. We've got increasing cancer wait times. We are not keeping up. We know that. And that is where technology will help us. And that's where Axrem plays a vital role. And everyone's talking about AI, but there's also other technologies and innovations that are being developed by Axrem members can really have a positive impact on patient care. And I think the adoption of these innovations is critical. And that's why IIC allows us to have those really honest conversations about technology, AI, innovation. And to quote, to me, one of my gurus is Rizwan Malik. We got to look at impact, and we got to look at outcome. And I think IIC allows us to ask those questions and ask them honestly.
Yeah, and I think you've kind of touched on it a little bit, but how do you think the technologies that our members provide can impact the workforce in the NHS? And I've probably spoken before on these podcasts around, some of the AI products that our members provide, where the algorithm reads the scan and can triage that. So the AI is not there to replace people, but absolutely can create those efficiencies. So is that the sort of thing that you see and could be helpful to the workforce?
Yes, absolutely. So let's just talk about AI, because that's where the primary focus right now. I think a few years ago, the conversation was AI will replace doctors. And I think that is a distorted view, and we have to dispel that view. What we're learning now is there is real world evidence that there are positive outcomes from AI, but this is AI with radiologists. And so, to paraphrase something that everyone has said, it's not about AI replacing the radiologist or the radiographer or the clinician. It's AI with those clinicians, radiographers, and radiologists that may replace people who don't use AI. As a radiologist now, the conversation has evolved to how AI can augment our workflow, our workforce, and our workload. by helping us be more streamlined in the work we do. And you talked about triaging. We have a cancer screening program in the UK. We have thousands to hundreds of thousands of x-rays that we need to go through alongside CT scans. And we know a lot of the Axrem members are part of this drive. How can we produce all these x-rays and imaging and CT scans and triage to make sure that the patients who need care first get that care at the right time with the appropriate treatment? And that's where AI can support us. Alongside some of the high quality equipment that we have to use, we need technology that is sustainable, is environmentally friendly, and is efficient. And that's where some of the members of Axrem, I know mostly the OEMs, that's one thing I think we all have in common amongst all the OEMs, I think, is that's where they're striving to efficiency with a focus on environmental sustainability and also positive social values. So I think that's where I can definitely support. Outside AI and those sort of technologies, I think it's bringing people around the table and sharing ideas and sharing problems. And I think Axrem's done a very good job at that. So kudos to you and the team, Sally.
Thanks, Dr. Ram. And I think that you touched there on the sustainability piece, and it'd be wrong of me not to mention that last Friday we actually launched our Sustainability and Social Value Manifesto, and we've got a very active sustainability special focus group, and our members are really committed to, being on the roadmap to net zero with the NHS and helping them achieve their ambitions. So, that's a really positive thing. I've got a slightly different question now. So if you could hop into the Doctor Who TARDIS and you could go 3 years ahead, kind of what are your hopes and ambitions for the IIC, and how would you like the event to expand and evolve over the next 3 years?
That's a really interesting question. If I could jump into the TARDIS and go 3 years or 5 years or 10 years into the future, I think I would like to see the IIC be a global event. It is the event where people come and have honest conversations about technology. It's where anyone can come and find their place in part of the wider global community and having discussions. And I said the UK has always been at the forefront of having these discussions, and I think IIC is perfect. It's in the south of the UK, but it makes it really strategic. And I think it is where it will be the key platform discussing and implementing groundbreaking technologies. And with the support of Axrem and their members, we can certainly achieve that. I think last year we had 1,100 delegates. We're hoping to exceed that this year. I hope in 3 years' time, we'll be going beyond 2,000 or 3,000 delegates with a lot more exhibitors. But we have to be careful. We don't want to be so big that we can't have conversations. So we will have to evolve. And that's why with the Future Leaders Council that we have at Axrem and the apprentice program, we're bringing in, how we say, new blood to come up with new ideas. So there will come a time when someone may take over my role at IIC. And what I would like to see is IIC evolve into something very different. If that happens, then I think I've done my job as the current chair to lay the foundations for an organization that is always evolving and always adapting to the needs. So I think if I could see anything, I would like to see that, an IIC that is evolving and adapting.
Great. And are you going to wear your T-shirt this year, your Superman T-shirt? As they say, not all heroes wear capes.
You know what? I'm not going to answer that question, but it's certainly going to be something that people can look out for. What is the look this year? I think every year I will have to consider what I wear depending on the moods and emotions and discussions. But Sally, you will be the first to find out when I see you at IIC. We'll take a photo together. You'll be the first person to take a photo with.
Great. I look forward to it.
I'm intrigued. Right, so now over to my quirky question, which I must say, actually, I feel like I'm becoming a little bit famous for now. So if you could hang around with any famous person, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Any famous person. To be honest, I know it's a bit corny, or it's probably, it's sort of in right now, but I absolutely love Ryan Reynolds. I think he's just a fantastic person. Not only because of what he did with Deadpool, but his entire life. Anyone who understands his journey, he starts out in Hollywood, has a bit of a dip, but he just kept on pushing. And now we are with him, with really successful movies. But what was really important about what he did and what inspires me is the way he values people around him. And, you can read this up online. He gives up most of his salary sometimes to make sure his writers are there with him when he's doing his movies. So I think he's someone that values the people around him. And that's why I really inspire. And he just doesn't take no for an answer. He just keeps on pushing forward because he believes he's passionate. And I think that's what we need in our future leaders and the discussion we have. We need to have passion in what we do within healthcare. We need to ask questions and sometimes don't take no for an answer, just like him. But most importantly, again, going back to what Sally said about community, I think he understands the value of community, how there is no one person that is ahead of everyone. We all work as a group. Axrem works as a fantastic group. Myself, yes, I am here today doing the interview, but behind me are some amazing group of people at IIC that are doing 99.9% of the work. My job's made easy because of them. So because of that, to me, Ryan Reynolds is the person I'd love to have dinner with one day and find out more about how he brings people together.
You're absolutely right with that, because when you look at how he's handled the Wrexham situation, he brought the community along with him on that journey. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the Wrexham programme, and I actually went and met a few of the players and the manager recently when I was up in the area. And you can just see that, the people are on board of Wrexham and they're on that journey with Ryan Reynolds, and it's really lovely to see and important. So yeah, absolutely plays into the community piece, I think, Dr. Ram.
One day you'll call me Ram, Sally. One day.
Never. You're Dr. Ram. Dr. Ram. Ram, thank you so much for all your time today. And before we finish, I think it's worth me just mentioning the members that are actually supporting the International Imaging Congress. So members from Axrem that will be there exhibiting or are sponsors to the event are Ag for Healthcare, Bracco, Agea, Fujifilm, Gleamer, Magentus, Merge, Promo Medical, Siemens Healthineers, Soliton, Synapse Medical, and Vertex. So Ram, thanks so much for your time today and for being our guest. And I'm really looking forward to attending the event and seeing you there. And I hope to see everyone that's listening there too. And we look forward to speaking to you soon.
Thank you very much, Sally, and thank you very much, Melanie. I really enjoyed the conversation today.
Join Sally and I in a couple of weeks when we begin Series 5, our collaborations podcasts, starting with David Lawson and discussions on the medtech strategy. If you have enjoyed today's podcast, don't forget to hit subscribe or feel free to share the podcast with friends.